Collie Training Journal, Day 50. Woohoo! Knife and footwork. I cannot believe I have been practicing Collie for 55 days now. It has been quite a journey for me, and I could not be more grateful for this outlet in my life. It's cardio, it's fitness, it's working out, it's learning a new skill, it's learning ways to protect myself and protect others, it's self-defense. I love Collie. Today's practice is a little bit of an extension of the last couple of practices. I, of course, start with a nice warm-up. I've been doing a lot of wrist circles lately just because I neglected those for a while. And being able to have flexibility in my wrist while I'm practicing or otherwise is very important to me to make sure that I have the mobility and the agility that I need when I'm doing Collie training. It's also helpful in other areas. I don't really like addressing the topic, but as we age, it's important to make sure that we are physically fit, we have a good cardio workout, and we're able to practice flexibility and stretching. I used to be a massage therapist, and this was one of the biggest things that my older, more mature clients would mention to me was how important being flexible and agile was as they aged. So I'm trying to be very cognizant and aware of those things as I practice Collie, especially in and specifically in my warm-ups. Today, for my practice, I decided to focus on some basic drills like 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s, footwork, but really spending a lot of time practicing with a knife. Now, here's what I've noticed about my knife drills over the last, 50 days, is that using a knife for me is sometimes easier and more intuitive when I'm doing striking and footwork. Using a knife isn't really called striking, I don't believe, but using a knife in my hand instead of a stick or my bolo seems to help me work through the footwork drills as I'm swinging the blade around. It's also really exciting and more fun to me. A few videos ago, I mentioned that I didn't really like using a knife. In previous training, using a knife and trying to learn how to use the knife felt complicated. It felt like I had to do way more with my hand than what I actually feel like I have to do in Collie. So this really has turned out to be a good thing for me. And I enjoy using that. I enjoy doing the cardio. The footwork really becomes my cardio. And being able to move around quickly, I feel like I can still get in some work in my upper body with the knife easier and more fluidly than if I'm using a stick or a bolo. I believe that this is personalized for each person. Each person has a preference, and really that's what life is about, right? It's about being able to find your own rhythm, your own flow, be able to recognize your timing and how it affects others, but really being able to recognize and be so in tune with yourself that you can adapt to any situation that you're in. Having an awareness of self often helps bring an awareness of your surroundings, because you have to be in tune with both to really be able to understand and be in tune with yourself, in my opinion. Emotional intelligence is another big factor in this. And if you're still listening and watching, thank you. But emotional intelligence is another big part of this. It's another big part of training. When you're learning a new skill, sometimes it can be a little frustrating. When you have to keep going over the basics, and when you move on and you try something else, and then you come back to the basics, and you've got gaps, and you've got holes, and you've got things you have to work on again because you're new at the skill and you don't have them mastered so well that your body just knows how and when to move because you've trained it and you've done it 10,000 or more times. It can be frustrating. It can make you want to give up or stop trying. When you have the emotional intelligence needed, it's easier to push through those moments. You can acknowledge and validate what you're feeling, even if it's excitement. You can validate what you're feeling and still be able to do the things that you have to do. Those who are successful know that it doesn't matter whether or not they're motivated to do a thing or not, they're going to do it. They're going to get the job done and they're going to move forward and they're going to be successful, and nobody can tell them that they're not because they know in their mind that they are going to be successful. These are some of the things that I've started to draw out of myself little bits more and more and more as I have practiced Kali, and today being day 50 of my training journal, why not share some of these additional thoughts with you? Because Kali for me is not just about Kali. It supports my success in every other aspect and area of my life. It has made me more determined. It has made me stronger with my mindset, my emotions, my physical body, and the way that I proceed through other areas of my life. I began my Kali journey really at ITC, an intensive training camp hosted by the Kali Center by none other than Paul Ingram. Even though I've never met Paul before that point, and even though I have no real attachment, Paul inspired something in me to not want to let him down. He gave me an opportunity to learn a skill that would forever change and transform where I was going in my life and how I was responding to it. Now here I am, using a knife, something that I really have never had a desire to do. And I find myself still having the desire to not allow myself to let this foreign person that I don't even know that well, let them down. Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody not want somebody else to let them down? Why would you not want to let somebody else down? Well, because we must feel like they see something in us. Sometimes something that we don't see in ourselves. I have learned so much from my Kali journey. And again, if you are still listening to this, thank you. Thank you for following this channel, for subscribing, and for being a part of my journey. Thank you for sticking it out with me for 50 days of the Kali Training Journal. I am so grateful for these experiences, and I will continue to work on and refine my Kali skills. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.